Hey everyone, welcome to my glass eye demo for making glass eyes that you can bake with your Sculpey. I tried to do this demo a few minutes ago and then I got a call in the middle of it from my wife who's with my daughter at the phone store, and her phone battery is completely dead and they can't change it because they can't crack the phone open. So I had to take the call and the demo, deal with that. Now I'm back. So what I've done, I'm just going to kind of start this over. So I made this eye, and I posted pictures of it before. I posted a little video of it on my Instagram account, and this is going to be for Zoc from the Herculoids that I've been working on the Zoc. And Tundro, I used glass eyes that were pre-made. They were 100% glass. The pupil was glass. The outside color was glass. So no worries with baking those. With this, however, I need bigger eyes for Zoc. I don't have any eyes here, and I kind of want to customize the eyes. And in the past, when I've tried to do this sort of thing, like here's an alien head I did, and I don't know if you can see, but I painted the eyes black behind the glass, and the heat of the oven crackled them. It made the paint crackle spread. It just didn't adhere to the glass enough, so not ideal. And I don't want to do this whole giant cool sculpt only to have jacked up glass eyes. So I need to figure out a way that I can make glass eyes that I could bake in the oven for as long as the Sculpey needs to bake, and that are not going to delaminate from the glass. And I did this test before. I did two. I did one to bake, and then I did a control that wasn't baked. And these are made from cabochon and clear resin, clear UV resin. So with this demo, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make these. So we're going to need a few things here. We're going to need some black pigment powder, and this is the kind I'm using just because this is AK Interactive. I had this big jar of it in the drawer next to me, so it's convenient. Clear UV resin from Sophie and Toffee. I really like this kind. It works well. I've got some mica powders, which are like a pearlescent powder. You can use them for making makeup or tinting resin. And I've got a little bit of Pearlex powder, a few toothpicks, and I've got these glass cabochon lenses left over from my Dragonfly and Hornet kits. The Hornet uses flatter ones. These are a dome, a half round eye lens, basically. And if they function just like a magnifying glass, which is pretty cool. So that's how these eyes are able to look as if they're looking at you no matter which way you turn the eye. It kind of follows you due to the lens effect. I'm looking at you. Alright, so I'm going to show you how I do these. First thing I did was, before the first demo got messed up, is I put a little bit of this resin down and I mixed in some of the black pigment. Stirred that up with a toothpick, and then I dripped it onto each of the eyes. And when I messed it up, I just wiped it off with a cotton swab. Redid it, but you're just putting a little drop down there because you don't want the pupil to be huge on the back, because it's actually going to look bigger on the front. So that's all the bigger that is on the back. That's how it looks from the front side. It's magnified. So keep that in mind. So I put these down, and then I used my UV light thing here. And this one, I got it on Amazon. I like it because it has a stand. I don't like it because every time you push the button, the light only stays on for 30 seconds. So I kind of gotta, keep pushing the button because this stuff needs UV light for a few minutes to fully cure. But I've already cured these, so I don't need to deal so much with that. So I can move on to the next step. And the next step is pretty much like the first. I've got the eyes kind of smushed into some unbaked Sculpey here to hold them flat and in place. And I'm going to mix up the eye color now. And let me pull these eyes forward here, adjust the camera a bit. There we go. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to need a little bit of this mica powder. And this is going to give me that pearlescent shine that I want for these eyes. If you don't want them shiny like that, you can probably mix matte pigments into the UV resin a little bit. A lot of these pigments come in a variety, these weathering pigments come in a variety of colors now. So it shouldn't be too hard to find eyeball colored stuff in blues and greens and browns. All right, so I'm going to use a little bit of gold and a little bit of this copper. And a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. And I'm just putting a little on a toothpick and on there. And that's all the pigment I've put out. Just that those few little bits of it. And the reasoning for that is I don't want the pigment to obscure the UV light going through. I can put a little more pigment on the back, but on the front, I need the light to go through. So I'm mixing these two colors and the clear resin together. And it's really cool. You really get that neat shine. And then I'm just going to take it on the toothpick and I'm going to just kind of glop it onto the back of each of these eyes. And you don't have to be too precise, but I mean, you are going to want to make sure that the pigments themselves aren't too bunched up or spread out, because it's just pigment floating in the resin. If it's, if there's too much in one area and not enough in the other, it might look a little odd. So, spread it around, but, the randomness is also good. And we're just going to put this over the whole back of the eye. And I'm doing 6 of them here just because I can, just because I had 6 eyes in front of me. And it's never a bad thing to have a few extra glass eyes around if, a project arises that you might be able to use it for. And if I don't like it, I can try to scrape this off later. It sticks on really well though, which is why I think when I did the oven test before, it didn't delaminate, which was perfect. So this means that I found a way that I can do baked eyes and I won't have to, cast this stuff in resin if I want to embed eyes later on. Because a lot of my resin casting recently has been because I didn't know how else to get the eyes to not bake, to bake properly. So that's it for this. I just have the pigment suspended in the resin. It's just kind of floating there. And now I'm going to hit it with the UV light. And this is going to need to cure for about 3 to 5 minutes. So bear with me while I keep hitting the button here. The resin though, when you hit it with the UV light, it's going to almost immediately cure, which is pretty awesome. So I like to use this clear resin. I have some cheap stuff that I got on Amazon. It's not nearly as good as the Sophie and Toffee. I'll use it for some applications, but I won't use it for visual stuff. Like, it's great if you want to quickly tack a wire in place in the back of a diorama. Just add a little bit of the UV resin, hit it with the UV light, and instant glue that you can move around, unlike super glue. But the cheap stuff stays tacky. This stuff is going to dry hard. You might need to just give it a quick wipe with some alcohol to remove any residue. But other than that, this stuff's really nice, and it really sticks to the glass. So I baked this eye before at about 240 for roughly 30 minutes in the oven, and no delamination. I let it cool in the oven and it's fine. So Hooray. So let's see, I think I've hit the button once or twice already, which means about a minute. So I want to do this for 2 minutes at least, and then I'm going to flip the eyes over, and I'm going to hit it from the other side, which is going to cure the rest of the black. That probably didn't cure because the light couldn't get through the first time. It might be already cured too. The light might, the light is bouncing a bit off of the clay. Doopy doopy doop. All right, when this one's done, I think I'll flip it over and take it off the clay. But first, I'll want to wipe the residue off of the clay residue off of the glass. I want to make sure as much light goes through as possible. All right, so just take my little piece of towel here. Good. And I'll drop that down. Yeah, see, it feels a little tacky. It's not going to go anywhere. Just, you can put your fingerprints in it right now. Not that it would show through on the business side. And the reason I did, the other reason I did 6 eyes is the pupils, when you're dropping, the black pigment from a toothpick, it's going to spread and you're going to get different sizes. So it helps to have a variety of pupil sizes when you're doing this so that you can pick out two, the best two that match. All right, let's hit this. Let's move this clay out of the way and hit this with the UV again. And I'll do this for another couple minutes. And then we can move on to the next step, which is using a little bit of this Pearl-X powder. This is bright yellow. It comes out as a gold. I looked at the reference for Zoc, the color reference online, and his eyes were kind of a brownish yellow color. So that's why I decided to mix the copper and gold pigments together and use the yellow as a base. Now, with this eye, I did before, I pressed it into this dark brown Sculpey. And after putting the other pigment on, and it worked out really well. I could back it with whatever I want. For these ones, I'm going to try to light up these eyes. So I'm going to have some LEDs embedded in the clay behind there. We'll see how well that works out. I've never embedded LEDs in wiring in clay before. I've baked it before. But I mean, if I'm going to try it, now's the time. And if it works, yay. If it doesn't work, I just snip the wires and nobody knows the difference. But keeping these somewhat transparent means that when the LEDs do come on, the light's going to shine through the eyes, and that's going to have a neat laser eye effect like Zoc has. I think I might embed them in some translucent Sculpey, and I'm pretty sure that's going to... I'll do some tests with the LEDs and see how much light transmits through it. But I think it's going to make it so the light isn't as harsh. It's just going to make the eyes glow. It's not going to make them so bright that you end up with like red eyes on your camera or anything. I think it'll just be a nice warm, laser eye kind of glow to them. I just need to decide if I want to use warm white LEDs, probably use warm white, or amber. Haven't really decided. Red could be cool. If I knew how, I'd probably just use the RGB LEDs, but I don't think I could fit two whole RGB LED assemblies in there. So one more time with the UV light, and we should be good to go to the next step. And this is curing the stuff that might have gotten blocked from the other side. So when this light goes out, I'm going to put a little bit of this yellow pigment, which actually will rub on gold, like this. And I'm going to rub it on the resin on the back. And it lets the light come through, as you can see. So it should work really well for making the eyes light up and still looking shiny when the lights are off. Okay. So that part is done. So let's take a little bit of this yellow pigment here and let's see. I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger. And this is still, like I said, this is still a little tacky on the back. So this pigment is going to stick right to that, which is nice. And just make sure you get it around there nice and smooth. And then when you get to the other side, you have a nice shiny eye. And because people were asking, how did I get the eye to look like it was following you? That is the effect of the lens. If you, whoops, this is why I put a towel on my lap, it catches that kind of stuff. When you rotate this, you notice that pupil is kind of rotating a bit as well. So that gives you the illusion that the eye's following you no matter where you are. So let's do another one. And then I'll decide which of these two eyes I'm going to use for Zoc. I'm going to pick two that the pupils match size-wise perfectly. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, and that's why I did 6 of them. All right, 2 more. Yeah, a little bit of this pigment, this Pearlex pigment, really does go a long way. Actually, I've never used this yellow color before because it looked like taxi cab yellow. So I'm like, well, why would I want a taxi cab yellow pigment? But it actually is more of a nice gold color once you use it. So I think I might use it more often. It was a little deceptive. See, it's kind of golden yellow here. Okay, so that is, I'm just going to wet my hands here and wipe this off on a paper towel. Close up the pigment so it doesn't get all, any humidity and caked up. And that's it for these eyes. I mean, I will smush a little bit of translucent Sculpey behind them just to transition it between the eye and the base. I'll put some LEDs in the sculpt and we'll see if I can't. My only worry is that the solder might melt when I bake it. So I think what I'm going to do is instead of soldering, I'm going to use wire wrap. And the wire wrap should keep everything together. And that way I'll be able to embed LEDs pre-wired in the wet clay before baking and have a sculpt that lights up. Hopefully. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, this is it. You can bake these eyes normally. At least I did with the first test. So I'll know for sure once I finish Zoc here. And if it doesn't work out, then I just paint over the glass, which would suck. But, it's better than having a bad-looking crackled eye. But I'm pretty sure these are going to work. I mean, the first test was great. No issues. And I embedded it just like I'm going to embed it in the... take it off of that thing there. Embed it just like I embedded it in the sculpt. So it should work out fine. I like it. It looks real natural, like a lizard eye. Zoc's eyes, I would have given him more of a slit eye, but I'm trying to stay as close to the sketches as I can without, I want to get the basic shape right, but I also want to make him a lot more detailed. So basic Zoc shapes, added detail. I think it would look weird if I gave him slit eyes. So that's it for this demo. If you try this, let me know how it worked out for you. It's just black pigment, UV resin, a UV light of some sort, and some pigments and toothpicks. And that's and these glass cabochon that you can pick up on Etsy. There's all kinds of different sizes. When you go to search for them, type in the millimeter width that you want. That's going to be the easiest way to find the exact size you want. And remember, there's 2 different kinds. There's the flat type and there's the dome type. The dome type are going to be completely round all the way to the back, where the flat type has a little bit of a lip and it's not as thick. Both of them will act like a magnifying glass, but you know, use the one that's best for your project. All right, signing off. Check out FichtenFoo.com for more tips and details. Check out industrialmechanica.com for FichtenFoo kits and all the other kits that I collaborate with different artists to develop. And check out my Etsy shop, FichtenFoo Etsy shop too, while you're at it, for some of my finished creations. Thanks. Bye.